I will first explain a thing I noticed yesterday, an observation that came from a conversation. So yes, conversation can be useful and meaningful to you, but that conversation is not it, all right? You can keep on discussing and discussing life and talking about life. Life is this, life is that. But, and you know, like for example, life is, meaning is this and so forth. But I've already explained what meaning is. Everything else is false because everything else just deviates from life experience. So just listen to whatever I'm saying and apply stuff, live life, don't just ruminate, and which is common for philosophers. But philosophy should aid life. Philosophy, these thoughts and guiding principles, this should aid life. It shouldn't confuse life. All right. I see a lot of philosophers. They talk about wisdom is this, to understand yourself this, and I can teach you understanding because I've taught myself. No, you can't, because you haven't developed yourself. All right. You're not well developed. Only those who are well developed can understand who they are. If you just stay there and you never learn, you never teach yourself to listen to your instincts, to your true voice, you never understand these different dimensions of human condition, all right? Humanity is a spectrum, all right? We have a whole spectrum here, like this is like contentment, or heights, and this is depths or non-contentment, hatred, or all right. So but you gotta have the full spectrum. This is the whole human condition, all right? But the thing is, I see this when I see a fat philosopher, or or a scrawny one, a thin one. But I can see he has terrible skin. And they're going to teach us about life. These people are going to teach us about life. These people who have never lived life are going to teach us about life. They don't know how to generate money. They don't know how to eat properly. They don't know how to have great habits. The only thing they're good at is generating ideas perhaps, and information absorption, like the third and fourth foundation. They're backwards in life. They are backwards in life. And they don't, and even worse, they never fuse both, all the foundations. They never work on themselves. They only work on one foundation. Let's say, reading books and just, philosophy and history in philosophy and so forth. They read about Socrates, but they talk about the Socratic method, and Socrates thought of this with wisdom and so forth. But they never have their own philosophy. They always just reiterate, they just ape. These people just ape, all right? The underdeveloped people, they ape. The weak, they ape. The unique, they create, all right? You don't ape, you create. And so, but that is just, I just want to explain this because when you look, there are YouTube trainers and people like that are more, I would say they are more of philosophers than many philosophers on YouTube, or not just on YouTube, obviously, lectures and professors and so forth. These dinosaurs are not philosophers, all right? They're not true philosophers. They are just aping the old echoes of history, all right? We gotta stop echoing the past, and we gotta live in the future and in the now, obviously, in the now, but building towards the future, the higher desire, the vision. All right, that is super important. So we gotta move on. We gotta move on, not just keep on going back to Socrates or Plato and Plato's cave and all that nonsense. We gotta keep on moving. All right, philosophy is dead. Long live life. All right, I pronounced philosophy dead. I pronounce intellectualism dead because almost no one, perhaps we should call this something new here, thinking life, or something like that, experience itself, or not in itself, but experience as a center, the core, And so today I wanted to talk about, perfecting the human condition. So we're going to talk about perfecting the human condition. I'm holding a stone here, and I saw this stone. I was at the beach yesterday. I realized this beautiful metaphor when I was talking to my aunt, and we were talking about, life and so forth. And I mean, I've got more stuff by talking to her than just going deep within Plato or something like that. Plato is just confusing everything. You shouldn't confuse things. We shouldn't be obscure. We should make things clear so that we can be of use to others, and not just to others, to ourselves. You got to understand what you're saying to yourself. All right? That is why most of philosophy is just useless. Hegel, all of that stuff, just useless. All right? Almost all of philosophy is useless. There are some parts of Plato, some parts of Aristotle, a lot of parts from Heraclitus we can use, a lot of parts from Epicurus we can use, It's pretty ironic, but we don't have much. We have a lot from Plato because Christians and so forth loved Plato, so they kept the stuff they liked, Aristotle, that worked together with their own thoughts, their own philosophy, and they never kept Epicurus and all those hedonistic philosophers and so forth. So, but those are the most important because they go against the mainstream. They go against the main thinking, and that's what we're doing here as well. All right, this is an experiential philosophy. All right, this is a philosophy of life. Philosophy of life. We care about the most important question in life, which is the meaning of life. But I've already answered the meaning of life. Now we're just extending what this means and how to live better, how to live a better life, according to your higher desire. All right, that is it. Better life. Technically, it's not a better life, but I will have to, use the language, So we can call it a better life. It is, in some sense, it is better because you're increasing your health. Your health is getting better, and that is the whole meaning of everything. All right, you don't need anything else. So I was talking to my aunt, and I just realized this when I was looking at the shore. Close to the shore. We were walking there, and so I just realized this metaphor. We should be like a stone, like this beautiful stone here. I actually didn't find this close to the shore, but there are more of them, closer. So, especially those who, they stay there and, but they change. All right. So this stone here, this should be you. All right. This is our core, or our character, and we're going to talk about, shaping this character. All right. Basically, what I'm doing to you right here with this series, I'm trying to shape you to become a better character. That is what I want to help people with. And that is the meaning of everything, because you are the meaning of life. Your health is the most important thing. Your experience in life is the most important thing. Everything else doesn't matter because that is it. That is it. It seems obvious, but it's not obvious. I see all these people and philosophers, but not just philosophers, other people, they never talk about this. They never emphasize this, and they don't, let alone work on this and extend it. All right, so I'm doing that work. So obviously everyone doesn't have to do this, but that is my task. So, but these people, you know, they talk about stuff, they just ape stuff. They never create stuff. They never create something new out of nothing, all right? We got to create stuff out of nothing, out of ourselves, technically. It's never nothing, but we have building blocks, but we create something. It's like an author creating a book out of nothing. It seems like Tolkien created Lord of the Rings out of nothing. Now, obviously, it is from experience and reading and so forth, but he created something new, a whole new genre. So it's incredible. That is genius. That is, you know, the high potential, you know. But we can go even better because, you know, we can be in shape and also create that. Imagine if Tolkien was like a Spartan and also created a Lord. I mean, he would create, now obviously, but he liked to walk and, you know, so forth. So, and he enjoyed life tremendously, and you know, you can see that in the Hobbits and so forth. Now, obviously, he had the dark periods as well and so forth from the First World War. All right, so let's head back to the beach story. So we're walking there on the beach. So I realized, and I have this imagery, you know, the shore here, you know, and let's say there's a stone here, and you know, the waves here coming inwards, and you gotta realize that the waves will come here as well, and then they will go back also. All right, waves. And so this is the, you know, this is the beach. All right, so you have this stone here, and we should be like this. As people, we should be like this. As you are a stone, close to the beach, all right, close to the shore, we should be the stone that is close to the waters. We should be the stone that is close to the waters. We should be like here. All right? We should be like a stone here in the waters. This stone is different from the other stone here. Always in the sun, always, you know, has some, you know, imperfections, a lot, or more like a lot of imperfections. Now, this stone also has some imperfections, of course. All right? This stone is not perfect. It's not perfect, but we're not talking about perfect. We're talking about perfecting, all right? There is a big difference. There is a big difference. I used to be obsessed about perfection and being perfect. My work has to be perfect and all that stuff. But that is just hindering you, all right? That is just being in your brain all the time, in your mind all the time, and never creating. You got to go out there and create. It sounds obvious, but it is not obvious. People don't listen to these words, all right? I just want to show here. So this stone is a well-developed character. This stone here is not a well-developed character. This is most philosophers, this is most businessmen, this is most people, this is most gurus, this is most everything. And this is the few, only the few. There are only few stones here, but there are like 1 billion of these, all right? There are 1 billion of these stones here, but there are only like a few of these, all right? But there are many of these, all right? So in reality, so you have, now obviously these also have imperfections, but they're perfected. They are, you know, well-developed human beings. Now we're stones here, but so, all right, so these waves. So you want to be this stone here, because this struggle, these waves keep on going to this stone here. Obviously in the beginning it was, you know, terrible, but you know, it gets in better shape and in better shape, you know, in better and better We can do it like this also, you know, better and better and better and better until, you know, it gets round and more perfected. So these waters, you can see that as the struggle in life, struggle, resistance. You have all this resistance. You need the resistance, you need the waters to make it like this, to make it beautiful and round and perfected. All right, you need the struggle to this. This doesn't have this struggle. All right, it doesn't have anything. It just stays there. It is stuck. But this is not stuck because it's always changing. All right, that is what I mean by, you know, you still have the seed. The potential is always the same. You know, the universe, the energy in the universe is the same. The energy of you is the same from birth to now. But the potential, you know, the potential of becoming, life is about becoming. The potential of becoming this better, well-shaped, well-developed character is, you know, is always there. Every stone has this. That is why I say that every single person could potentially, in theory, do this, but that is also, you know, in theory and in, you know, in observation, we know that this cannot be that way because most people are, you know, this. Most people are not close to the beach, close to the waters, struggling and, you know, perfecting themselves, getting better at everything. It can be, you know, it can be marketing, it can be selling stuff, it can be become a better salesperson, you know, closing deals, it can be finding clients, all of that, or it can be a search engine optimization. All of that stuff is here, all right? These people work on themselves. That is why I think these are, you know, better beings. They are better people. They're more well developed. You should listen to those people and don't listen to these people. That's why these are few and far between, actually, but they are the people you should listen to, all right? These are the people you should listen to, not these people. But you gotta learn how to, you know, distinguish between these, all right? Because people think that people don't notice it, you know? They see their success perhaps, but they still see, you know, some imperfections and they just zero in on these perfections here, all right? They zero in on these perfections. But this stone is beautiful. So I kept the stone here. So I'm gonna put it here. So that is what I wanted to talk about today, you know, building character, all right? You're building your character. You can see yourself as in a game. I love that, you know, mentality as well. You don't look at the bracelets, the sword, you know, in those video games, you usually had the person, you know, and then you had, you know, like a bracelet here and, you know, your sword here, and shield here or something, and, you know, a ring or stuff like that. And you could see your person, your character, and that is your character in life. But don't keep on looking at other people's, you know, rings and swords and, you know, you can do that for research a little bit, but then, you know, you gotta figure out how to acquire this fire sword or something. And the same with, you know, how to acquire these clients, how to acquire these, you know, how to attract these and these people, how to market myself, how to, not just, you know, in business, but, you know, business is important, you know, work is important because that is life. And all these philosophers and intellectuals, they talk about this stuff, but they're terrible business people. They're terrible. They can't do 10 push-ups. They can barely do 1 push-up. All right? People who can't do push-ups, I don't trust them. All right? I don't trust these people on anything. I don't respect them. I don't trust them. I don't like them. I don't want to be with them. I want to avoid them. I want to go against them. I want to, you know, counter them. I want to expose them in some sense, but not. I don't want to focus too much on that because if I focus too much on that, I can't, you know, continue with my philosophy. and go deeper and deeper into my philosophy. That is more important. I'm trying to do a guide here of a better life. This is the guide to a better life. Now, it is relevant because if I don't mention this, you will be in the dark, so to speak. You know, we got to be aware of everything. All right, all of this stuff. I'm trying to give you my point of view where I'm ultra aware of. You know, I can sense these people being weak. And not just weak in, you know, they're literally weak, but also, you know, in mentally. Because how can this fat philosopher talk about life, how life is better, when he can't even better himself? He can't even better himself. He doesn't know, he has a fat belly, he looks red, and he's alcoholic. All right, I can see that you drink alcohol. All right, you can't. You can't lie to me about anxiety. I can hear on your breath that you have anxiety. I can see in your eyes that you have depression. I can see on your skin that you eat terribly. I can see on your skin also that you are an alcoholic. I can see all these professors drink alcohol and wine. I know this, you know, not just from seeing, I see it from observation, from experience, all of it. So you have all these people, they try to teach you about what life is, and they have no idea themselves. They've never developed themselves in life. They've never developed life, all right? They've never developed their lives. And you people just keep on listening to these people. They have no idea. They have no idea. And even those people who are, let's say, you know, hyper successful, they have no idea either. A lot of those people are also fat and also not content in life. And that is because they too are not developed. I'm talking about millionaires that also, you know, because people talk about, you know, money doesn't buy happiness. And to some degree, that is very true, you know. He's red and fat and, you know, just terrible, all right? Or you know, I can see the mood swings. I can see the mood that I don't need much. I only see a picture and I know this, all right? And I know this because I've been this. Now, I haven't been an alcoholic, but I've been drunk, but I've never been an alcoholic. But I've experienced alcoholics and so forth. I've always had someone in the family that's an alcoholic. So it's not like I don't understand this stuff. And so you got to have all this experience to understand this, and in deeper ways, and especially with diet. I understand diet. I'm a freaking genius compared to this guy. Now, there are people that know more about nutrition than me, perhaps, but they don't have all the stuff, all right? We gotta have all the stuff in life, all the stuff in life. That is why I'm talking about human condition, all right? It's not enough to just have a great diet. It's not enough to just be obsessed about nutrition, all right? It doesn't matter if you know more about than me about nutrition or even philosophy. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. What matters is that I have found ways to cut out everything and be content to reach this instead of this. And you reach this through adding, and that's my expertise because I'm great at putting patterns. I'm great at, you know, just I read a book or a couple of them and I see the patterns there and I can extract it. And that's what I've done with everything in business, in life, nutrition, relations, all of that stuff. I've already done that. So you see, you gotta, you know, it's a lot of pluses here. You gotta add up and you gotta also remove stuff. So there are a lot of minuses here towards non-contentment. You don't wanna be here, you wanna be here, all right? We want more. There's nothing wrong with greed. This is how we channel it, through bettering our lives, all right? We remove alcohol. You remove alcohol. Stop being red and fat and, you know, I almost said ugly. You are ugly because you have never worked with yourself, all right? Perhaps you can't change your face, but what you can do is you can change your body, you can become your genetic potential when it comes to training. Every single person has to do diet, exercise, sleep, better sleep, and meditation. All right? Every single person has to do this. I don't care if you're a philosopher, business person, I don't care who you are. If we want to create a great society or, you know, a culture of great geniuses, you got to work on your first foundation, otherwise everything else will falter. You can't have a great business if you are not great. The business is only as great as the creator, as its creator. The book is only as good as its creator. All right? The book is only as good, it only reaches its potential as its creator. Imagine Tolkien also doing 100 push-ups. Lord of the Rings would have been even better, way better. All right? Everything would have been better with this. Because we go here. All right? We focus on that. Now, obviously, this is also part of the human condition. So we got to experience this, but that is the struggle here, you know, the waves, that is the struggle, but that's fine, that is fine, that is all fine. The important thing is that you understand that you're moving in the right direction. That is the most important thing. So, and that's the whole point of my guidance, all right? That is directing you correctly towards the right path here. There's an arrow. The arrow of life. Of life, all right? Arrow of life. You gotta choose the right things, all right? Your philosophy will become better. Those philosophers, the fat ones, the red ones, all those people, they would have been incredible people. That's why I see all these potentialities in people. Every single one, all the depressed ones, I see depressed ones all the time. I live in Sweden, all right? So I see people depressed, lonely, sad all the time outside. And it doesn't matter if they have children or not, or they're looking at their phones, and it doesn't matter. They're all depressed, almost all of them depressed, all right? And it's not just because we lack sunshine. Now, obviously, that is a big part of it. But you can see that, someone like me, it doesn't affect me. I don't have seasonal depression, all right? I change myself. I will force myself, well, not force myself. I've developed myself not to have seasonal depression. Our ancestors didn't have seasonal depression, all right? Vikings didn't have seasonal depression. Egyptians didn't have seasonal depression. Obviously, they have a lot of sunshine, but it's not the sun. You gotta have the sun. You gotta sleep. You gotta eat. You gotta exercise. You see, you gotta combine many things to get here. You can't think your way out of this. You cannot. You can talk about Socrates all day long if you want to. We can talk about Plato's cave. We can talk about all this nonsense, and we will still be at the same spot every single day, because you only move round and round and round, like I've shown before. This is your core, and you just keep on moving like this. You just keep on reading the same nonsense all the time. You never move. You keep on going back to the past, Plato, philosophy, history, the history of philosophy, or whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be this. You can go back to nostalgia, your memories, your old self, all right? Same thing. All these people, same thing. You're doing the same thing. Philosophers, they think they're doing something unique, and they think they're quirky and weird and different. You're not, all right? You are not. There are so many people who do this now, all right? You're not that, all right? You're not going the third way, all right? The third way. All right, so the third way here, we can have the third way, or the third path, perhaps. The third path. All right? The third path is this, all right? First, mainstream. Mainstream. All right? We can also call it stream here, the third stream. Second is contrarian stream. All right? You think you're a contrarian, but you're not. You're just aping the contrarians. And now the third is your stream. I always talk about becoming your own stream. All right? I'm always talking about, let's put it here. I'm always talking about, you have these mainstream like this. We can perhaps do it like this. This is the mainstream, all right? This is the mainstream, this is water, all right? This is most people, the masses. Masses in everything. But this should be you, pulling out from the masses. The contrarians are, here. They're like very close here, contrarians. That's the contrarians. They're also part of the masses now, all right? Because as far as, we're talking about ourselves, they're still the masses. You go this way, all right? You go this way. You don't care anymore about these people. You get out of the matrix. We can talk about matrix all day long also. It's just, these mentalities, these mindsets are just tools, all right? But philosophers or other people, they just get too impressed about the tool. The same way they get too impressed about money, they get too impressed about the hammer instead of using the hammer, all right? You should use the hammer. You shouldn't just, you don't look at a hammer and just, whatever a hammer looks like. No, it starts to look like doesn't matter. Or this way, actually, perhaps. And the nails here. And the carpenter, you gotta help, but that is a different thing, gotta help people. But you gotta help yourself first. So, but these things I'm talking about, but also, Plato's cave, matrix, blah, 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 all that stuff, it's a mindset, all right? A mindset. And these are tools, always tools. Don't get caught up on the tool, all right? The mindset. Don't get caught up on it. Use it. Use it. Use it. Use it. All right? Because you're wasting your life away on just going deeper and deeper into the... Most people just go deeper and deeper into the hammer. All right? They go deeper and deeper into the hammer. These atoms here, these imperfections here. You see? People go deeper and deeper into the Socratic method, the cave analogy. They go deeper and deeper into the tool instead of using the tool. All right? I hope people understand what I'm saying here. The same with business, the same with, calisthenics and workouts and gym. You should do the workout like this, perfect form is this. Perfect form is like this. No, it's like this. Forget about that, all right? You don't focus on perfection. You see, I'm going back to that again. It's not perfection here, not perfection. Perfecting the human condition. Improving this river, all right? Perhaps even improving the hammer, but then, you improve the way you hit, the way you use the hammer to hit the nail, All right, this is more important. Hitting the nail. All right, this is pretty good. Hitting the nail is more, the process here is more important than the hammer. All right, perhaps you can't read that, but it doesn't matter. The process of hitting the nail is much more important than the hammer itself. The hammer is important, otherwise we can't do anything in life. So we need to have, you have to have my philosophy, for example, to have a better life, but and you know, understand how to have a proper diet and exercise and sleep and meditation and first foundation and second foundation and third foundation and fourth foundation. But you shouldn't focus too much on just that. You gotta, you know, use it. You gotta use it, all right? Don't focus on all these tools, language. That's why I always keep repeating myself about, you know, don't get caught up on language, don't get caught up on intellectualism, all right? We're intellectualizing intellectualism. Instead of using intellectualism, the whole point and the whole purpose of philosophy in the beginning was this, to improve, you know, life. Instead, it became just improving the tools and methods, and we become a society and culture of methodology, all right? Instead of, you know, creating stuff with the hammer, instead of that, you discuss the hammer. You just keep on studying the hammer. Is it like this? Or, look at this other hammer, and look at this other hammer, or, you know, an axe or whatever it is. Look at this other axe here, and look at this one. Look at this one is, you know, this, and it's almost like the shiny object syndrome or whatever they call it. People are so impressed about these mindsets and hammers, and you know, that's not important. All right, of course it's important, but it's not everything. You shouldn't base life on this. You should not base life on these mentalities and, you know, mindsets. You should, of course, use my guiding principles, but that is they're not, you know, a mentality. They're things that truly happen, all right, that you need, because without loving yourself, for example, nothing will work. Or, you know, without the joy in the process, you won't love that process of, you know, hitting the nail. The nail here. That was a pretty good analogy. I like that. All right, process here. So, for example, diet. You gotta have, you know, a will to greatness, but a will to, you know, change stuff, and, you know, but you gotta have a joy in the process. So, for example, here is a tool: joy in the process. All right. So but before this, of course, you got to have a will to change yourself and so forth. But let's forget about that. You have a will to change yourself. You're sick of yourself, for example. You want to move towards loving yourself, not getting sick of yourself. All right. So you understand you got to change your diet. So if you listen to my stuff and you understand what you have to do. All right. But so within this diet journey, you gotta, you know, love each and every, you know, step, all right? Each and every step, and all these steps, let's take different, you know, let's look at it like this. This is a whole journey. Is a diet journey. That's just one journey. And it's just one factor. We got to have more factors, but let's just take an example here. There's one step, next step, 3 steps, all right? So the first step, all right, you cut bread. But you enjoy bread. So this is your lower desire. It is a lower desire. I know it is a lower desire with bread. Bread is a lower desire. because, and this is the desire, not cutting, the bread is the desire. You don't desire to cut it. You don't want to cut it. But the higher desire is here, you know. The higher desire is health and, or, you know, great body. All right. It can be great body, health, you know, doesn't matter. Well, it matters. If you have a great body, you're most likely more healthy. Not always, like I explained yesterday, but very, you know, most likely. I'm not going to talk about, you know, oh, how much, and you see, I'm not going in that, all right? How much this, how much that. That doesn't matter. I only go to what matters. What matters is this process, all right? That is what matters. Numbers don't matter, all right? All of these nonsense numbers don't matter. You just confuse yourself. Stop confusing yourself. Start clearing up. You cut bread, so you have to cut the bread. You got to sacrifice something, all right? Because you want to have a healthier body, greater body. So you cut the bread. You start here. Yeah, here you cut the bread. But then here you change it to, you replace it, for example, with oatmeal plus fruits. All right? Oatmeal and plus fruits. You gotta love the oatmeal and fruits more than, you know, bread. Perhaps you don't, but you gotta love the higher desire more. So, you know, this is just one step. Yeah, this is not even close to getting a great body, all right? Now, obviously, you gotta train as well and so forth. But this is part of it, all right? So, you gotta have, so for example, my principle, that's why I'm talking about principles and not just mindsets, because mindsets, can be impressive, they can change your, you know, worldview, but a principle is a principle that you follow, and it's not impressive perhaps, but it works. It makes most sense. It makes most sense, because without joy, what point is life? So you won't be, if you don't have joy, this is one of the most important principles, because if you don't have joy, I know that this won't work, all right? You gotta have a joy in finding these replacements, all right? You gotta find joy here. You had joy here. You had also joy, you had joy going from this to this. You had joy here, all right? Well, this is the same arrow here. You had joy going here. And then you have joy in cutting this completely, you know. You have joy in cutting this completely and, you know, eating, let's say, paleo or something. Paleo. And you go here and you have joy. You start to have not just joy in going there. You had joy now in going there, but you also have joy in how you eat, all right? So you see joy in, you know, multiple areas in life, multiple layers in life. You have joy in all of them, all right? So now you have some joy in paleo, but you're never satisfied. You always want to perfect yourself. You see, perfecting the human condition. You always want to perfect this, so you start eating more ancestrally. You cut the next step here. The next step here will be, all these are steps here. Steps. Joy, not soy. And so you have, you know, stricter paleo, let's say. You cut the sweet potatoes. And yes, I understand that you have desire in the sweet potatoes, but this is a lower desire. The higher desire we focus on is always, you know, the next step here. As you can see, even when I removed the higher desire here, you know, the higher desire shifts. And it shifts now because now you have a direction. I've shown you a direction, the arrow of life. That is my whole purpose. All right? That is my whole purpose, the arrow of life. You see, now you have a proper direction, you have a higher desire. The higher desire also continues and improves. And perhaps you have, joy in this as well. I mean, you have joy in everything, everything. You start having joy even in cutting. You're starting to have joy in cutting stuff out, all right? You're starting to have joy in everything in life. You see, that is how, that is how life becomes deep and rich and satisfying, and you reach the contentment that was here instead of the non-contentment here. Because here, you just keep on repeating, while here, it is change. You change all the time. Each step, you change here, you change there, you change everywhere. You change everything, and every single, everything is a change. You see, this cutting here is different from this cutting here. Cutting oatmeal or replacing it was actually, you cut bread, but this cutting of sweet potatoes is different from cutting bread. You see, it's all a different, you're cutting even more, Now, obviously, you're cutting more calories as well. So that's why paleo usually works for people, but it doesn't work if you keep on eating all the time, all day long, and so forth. You see, my life, my philosophy here is about life. It is about improving life, health, healthy lifestyle, perhaps, It is about health and healthy lifestyle. You see, I'm doing the philosophy, but I'm explaining what's happening, basically. The observing stuff. And I'm not just observing, creating these tools, these principles you can use to understand yourself, to understand your process, to understand what you're doing in life. All right? That is the whole purpose of my life and my philosophy, my work. All right? And guiding you. This is perfecting the human condition. And this, you see, you're perfecting the human condition all the time. You get to your higher desire, you get towards your truth. When people say your truth, do your truth. Well, most people who say this aren't well developed. You're well developed when you're here. Well developed, repeating, while here it is change. You change all the time. Each step, you change here, you change there, you change everywhere. You change everything, and every single, everything is a change. You see, this cutting here is different from this cutting here. Cutting oatmeal or replacing it was actually, you cut bread, but this cutting of sweet potatoes is different from cutting bread. You see, it's all a different, you're cutting even more, Now, obviously, you're cutting more calories as well. So that's why paleo usually works for people, but it doesn't work if you keep on eating all the time, all day long, and so forth. You see, my life, my philosophy here is about life. It is about improving life, health, healthy lifestyle, perhaps, It is about health and healthy lifestyle. You see, I'm doing the philosophy, but I'm explaining what's happening, basically. The observing stuff. And I'm not just observing, creating these tools, these principles you can use to understand yourself, to understand your process, to understand what you're doing in life. All right? That is the whole purpose of my life and my philosophy, my work. All right? And guiding you. This is perfecting the human condition. And this, you see, you're perfecting the human condition all the time. You get to your higher desire, you get towards your truth. When people say your truth, do your truth. Well, most people who say this aren't well developed. You're well developed when you're here. Well developed, This is the stone here. Stone close to the waters is here, all right? And you are a stone here. I'm gonna get a different stone actually, and gonna show here that I'm gonna go to the beach and get a much more imperfect stone here. And yeah, I understand that the other stone in reality has wind and all that stuff, but the stone close to the water has wind and water and everything against it. All right, more than just wind and sunshine. It has sun, it has wind, it has water, it has a lot of struggle. All right, and that's how it perfects itself, and that's how you do it as well in life. So life is about doing this stuff, perfecting yourself and improving yourself, and this is how you find joy. If you find joy in doing this, that is how you find lifelong satisfaction in the long term. I'm never talking about short-term stuff, all right? The culture we live in today is about temporary, fast, quick. That's why I'm the opposite. I'm the slow, gradual, but perfecting, getting better and better and better. Not just slow, obviously. You can push you get better and better at this, and it will be faster. So it's not like you're slow, you're quicker your mind is quicker, more energized and so forth. You see, I have so much energy and I'm in a fasted state. I haven't had anything since last night. And I'm gonna do even more stricter now. I'm gonna do like 2 hours OMAD. Perhaps I will go back to 1 hour OMAD, 1 meal a day, all right? It's much better. You get into ketosis more, you burn fat, you always stay lean, you always stay ready, you always stay resilient. You go towards resilience here, strength. This is strength. This is someone I'm going to listen to. This stone here is someone I'm going to listen to, respect, and trust, and with everything, if he's talking about business, I will trust this perfected stone more than this, other one that just uses and talking about the hammer and trying to impress me with language. No, I'm not impressed with anything, all right? I've cut all of that stuff. Nothing can impress me. Well, very few things can impress me, all right? Very few things. Simple things, innocence and perhaps some heights and stuff like that, but or hope and light and stuff like that, or a will towards this greatness that can impress me. An understanding of what I'm saying can impress me here. Understanding of perfecting the human condition, all right? And I'm not saying it just to be biased. I'm saying this because I impressed myself that I could achieve, I could do pull-ups now. I could be energized now. I don't have mood swings anymore, and you start loving yourself. I'm starting to, I have energy now. I can do stuff. I own myself because I created myself. I did all of this stuff. I'm proud of myself because I did it. I created it. I created myself. I created everything, my friends, everything, all right? I'm creating everything here, and you should be the creator as well, all right? That's what I mean by, we are the creators. So you see, that is life, all right? That is life. I think I captured most of the stuff I've been recently, these days, thinking about. So you see that it is important, but there are stuff that is much more important. You gotta focus on those. You gotta focus on your life, your experience. You only have one life. Stop just keep comparing and looking at other people's stuff, and start developing yourself. Don't waste it on things, all right? Don't watch a billion movies. Don't play video games all the time. Unless you have a profession in this. I understand if you're a film critic, for example, or a professional gamer, but Very few of you are this. So, and it's fine to do it 1 hour, 1 hour, Saturday or something, but not all the time. Not all the time. You got to give your brain things to work with. Read a deeper book. Read from a contrarian, and then pull out the stuff you like and remove the stuff you don't like, and also understand why you don't like this stuff and why you pull that stuff out. Does that work with your philosophy? And that's how you become a philosopher, all right? You pull the stuff out, you remove stuff you don't need. And we gotta use simple language, all right? That is what the ancient philosophers did. It's not like they used all this trying to impress people. Well, perhaps they tried, but... And even they trained, they always talked about gymnastics and swimming and running and, wrestling, and the Greeks invented the Olympics, So you use that, use that past wisdom, applied to the now, but now we know more stuff, of course, and you can research a little bit, Of course, the form is important, but don't get too caught up on the form of how you train, or the hammer. The hammer is important. I'm not saying the hammer is not important. Then I would say that my philosophy wouldn't be important, but my philosophy is important for you to understand life, and I boil it down, so you don't have to worry about that stuff. So I've already pulled that stuff out. People can keep on pulling stuff out from my stuff, but there is not much else you can pull out. What else can you pull out here? I already have the principles at work here. The change, joy, owning yourself. Without owning yourself, you don't have life satisfaction, because someone will always be above you, and so forth and so forth and so forth. So all of them are necessary. If you have problems, you can message me on Facebook, add me on Facebook, you can join the Facebook group, you can check my Quora, you can check, all the links are down below, you can comment, ask me a question about perfecting the human condition. If you want to know more about what the human condition is, what I mean by that, perhaps we'll make a different video about, the human condition instead, the whole spectrum. The human condition is basically life experience, the whole spectrum, both the depths and the heights, both, all right? And we want to live in the fullest. To be the fullest is both. You can't just skip the depths, but we don't just revel in the depths. We gotta pull ourselves up, upwards. That is the whole purpose of my philosophy, pulling you upwards all the time. So, and because I pulled myself upwards, and I will just continue pulling other people upwards. That is my work. That is what I'm doing here. That is the whole purpose of my existence, basically. If you have problems, email me, we'll set something up. And keep on working on yourself. Keep on developing, perfecting this stone here. Keep on perfecting yourself. Don't get caught up on the perfect, Don't get caught up on the perfect sphere or a circle. Get caught up on improving, all right? Get caught up on improving, the improvement, the process, the journey, all right? The journey, and having joy in the journey. If you don't have joy in the journey, that's a signal for you to understand that your instinct is saying, okay, I don't have joy here, I gotta change. So it's not paleo, it's keto perhaps, or something like that, all right? Or calisthenics. It's not the gym, it's calisthenics. Or it's not calisthenics, it's the gym. Or, it can be something like that. Or it's something completely different, tennis or something. And so you do the stuff that works, that is how contentment works, When you have contentment in how you train, how you eat, and how, all of these things will accumulate, you see? They accumulate, they add together, you stuck them together, that's why I'm speaking of all factors, and then you have all these factors, and that is contentment, all right? The whole thing is contentment. You can't just have diet, that is not contentment. You gotta have the whole diet, exercise, sleep, and perfecting those, and then we got contentment, all right? But you're never fully content because we always have something to improve, all right? So for example, you see, you have diet, you have sleep, you have exercise, you see, so all of these have, perhaps they're like this, but you're improving them to be like this, and then diet, exercise, sleep, for example. But then they also, they also together work as, a perfecting here as well. You're perfecting here as well. So you see, this is the habits thing. I just realized this. This is the habits part, and this is all the small factors. So you have different habits, of course, and so forth. So this is second foundation, and first foundation is within here. So you need meditation as well. And there you go. This is the first. You see, first shell, or the core. This is the core, and this is the shell is, that is your second foundation. The core is the same as, first foundation. You see? That's how it is. All right? It's starting to look more and more like atoms and physics, but that's because I like physics and atoms. Keep on focusing on yourself, keep on working on yourself, develop this character, develop yourself, try perfecting yourself. Don't revel on the perfection. Don't revel on this perfection. Instead in the perfecting stuff. All right, perfecting these circles here, these imperfect things. Focus on improving. The shell, the core. You focus on the core and so forth. All right, and also the process in doing this. The process in this will it's steps. All of this is different. These are more giant steps because habits are more bigger steps, but these are all small steps, meditation, small steps, and all of them together will have these giant steps toward change. All right, that's how it is. So keep on focusing on yourself, keep on developing your character, keep on working on yourself, and everything will be great, everything will be fine. And I will see you tomorrow.